Hi there, today we're going to paint this lovely succulent. We're just going to paint the main flower, not the little one, just for the sake of time. The colours I'm going to use are Green Gold by Daniel Smith and Permanent Magenta by Winsor & Newton. But basically any yellowish green and any deep reddish purple will do for this. These two sit more or less opposite each other on the colour wheel, and so the addition of magenta into that green gold will give us these lovely shadows that you can see in the plant. So I shall see you in the next clip. So first of all, to make it easy for me to apply the colour and to get some soft edges as we do this work, I'm going to wet the whole inside of the succulent. I've got about a size 4 brush here. So the only thing that you've got to watch is to make sure you keep the outline nice and sharp and show off those pointy edges of each individual leaf, okay? So if you feel you want to go to a smaller brush, then please feel free to do that. So I'm just going to go off camera while I wet the whole of the rest of the inside of this succulent. Okay, the succulent is now moistened all over, as you can see, if I just catch it in the light. Alright, so that's going to give us time now to apply the green paint. So I'm going to add a few, I'm going to bring some paint into the middle. Add some water. I'm looking at my image and seeing how much water, how much of a puddle of paint I need in order to cover this whole area. And again, this is good judgment, good practice for you. By the way, if you want to get the image, the grayscale and the outline, plus the supplies list and instructions for use, you can become a patron of mine for £3.60 a month, and the link is in the description below. And you'll get that supportive pack if you're not confident of drawing, or if you feel you want a bit of help with the tonal imagery and stuff like that, then the link is in the description below for you, okay? Right, so I've got enough green there. So let's start dropping it in. And this is where, you know, your work of having wet the paper before helps this paint flow out into all the tips of those leaves. And we get nice soft edges everywhere. We haven't got to hurry too much to make sure that we don't get any hard edges, because the water avoids that. The water lets everything have a soft edge inside the succulent shape. So in order to do that, we need to add some darker paint. So I'm going to add some more green gold to this mixture in the middle. And then into that I'm going to add a speck, a tiny amount. See how that's darkening it down a little bit? Of the permanent magenta, and now we've got a darker tone. So I'm going to start dropping this darker tone in areas where I can see them darker on my photo reference and on my grayscale. My grayscale is the biggest help because it shows you clearly where the darker areas are. Okay, so So I'm just looking for any sort of darker patches, either this grey here or this very dark grey, almost black there. That's where I'm dropping in extra colour now that you can see me doing. See, so already we're starting, you can see the plant starting to emerge, can't you? Right, so the next thing to do now is I'm going to wipe out that paint. I know it's a waste, but I've got to show you clearly in stages, so I don't want remnants of the last wash hanging over to confuse you. So now I've got a moist brush, just a little bit of moisture in there. Now I'm going to pick up a lot more of the green gold. This is, I would say now, this is a viscous mix. It's quite viscous and a bit gooey, okay? Now also a forensic amount, a tiny amount of this permanent magenta. Now see how dark that is? And it's much less runny than what we've put in already. See the consistency? Now, as I've been talking to you, the painting has dried a bit more, but still we've still got that slight moisture in there. That's because I'm using Fabulous paper. It's Two Rivers paper, 100% cotton, and it holds the moisture beautifully for me. So let's drop in these darker areas now. Again, I'm using my greyscale image as the guide. Don't worry about areas that should be lighter, because we'll be dragging those out with a thirsty brush in a second. And this is where the moisture of the paper is critical. You know, if your paper was too wet, things will just, oh, I'll put my finger in that now, things will just slosh around too much. You know, you need the paper to be just right, just moist enough to give you a soft edged application, but not too wet that application will just blur and run everywhere. See the flower starting to come out now? Again, if you're trying this and you're not using 100% cotton rag paper, you probably are struggling, because the paper that you're using will not hold the moisture for the length of time that you're seeing it last right now. So if you are struggling, it could be your paper and not you, alright? So treat yourself to some cotton rag paper if you can, and see how it helps you become a better watercolour painter. So right now I got everything soft, isn't it? I haven't got a hard edge in sight apart from the outline of the succulent, right? And I'm working with the paper as it's drying. I'm keeping on applying these darker touches. Okay, now let me show you how moist everything is at the moment. Can you see there's still a general moisture over the whole succulent? And again, this is 100% cotton rag paper for you. Right, ready now to go in and start lifting out some highlights. Recently I've bought 2 new brushes. They're Matthew Palmer lift out brushes, and they're very good. They've got a bit more spring and strength in them than your average watercolour brush. Normally I use any old flat watercolour brush, but I've bought these this week and I really am liking them, so I'd recommend them. Again, my fingers are clean, there's no grease on my fingers. Never wipe the hairs on your brush with greasy fingers, okay, because it make them water repellent after a while. Right, I'm going to zoom in now so that I can show you more clearly how I'm going to lift out, and I'll put my greyscale. Let's just get that focus on that so you can see. Right, so I'm going to start in the heart of the succulent, and there's a little highlight here. This one is paler. I'll be doing a lot of wiping and rinsing because after about 2 wipes my brush is full of green paint, and then that will stop me making these highlights. It'll be dirty, so you need to rinse your brush. Right, rinse my brush, dry my brush. And keep on working in these fine tuning because the paper is still drying, and a highlight you might have lifted out a minute ago, the paint might seep back in a bit because watercolours like that, it works behind your back. When you think you've finished a picture, it carries on drying, and some slight shifts can still happen because it's moving. Okay, the flower's bone dry now, and I'm just going to push everything a final step further. So to do that, I'm going to add more of the green gold. This is again a pigmented mix, I'd say, okay? You can see the consistency of it, can't you? as I'm mixing it. I'm adding some more permanent magenta. This I want to be just a little bit darker than the darkest bits I've got on there already, so this is going to be a dark accent. Oh, so I'm adding more permanent magenta there, mixing it all through. That should be darker than what I've got on there already. So I'm going to start adding this now in places, again looking at the darkest bits. Again, if you look at something upside down, can you see now that those dark bits jump out at you a bit more readily? You can perceive them a lot more readily. Apparently it's something to do with using the right side of your brain. So if you feel like looking at it upside down helps you, do so. I normally paint upside down myself a lot of the time when I really want to look at the tones. Okay, so I think we've got one more job to do now. Again, it's all fine-tuning. We've got highlights, we've got mid-tones, and we've got dark accents. And now what we can do is very gingerly, we can come in, and if there are any of the dark accents that are jumping out a little bit too much, we can just come with a moist brush, a brush that's been wetted and flicked. Flick it on the edge of your jug so that the excess moisture is gone. And then I'm going to soften this leaf here like this. I'm going to brush up to the middle of it, and then brush in very gently to that darker piece I just added, and that'll just settle it in a tiny bit more. Brush that in, rinse my brush, flick my brush again. This one I'm going to brush moisture up from the tip of the leaf up into the broadest part of the leaf, and now I'm going to carry on and brush into that darker accent that I put on, and this gentle action will gently dissolve that darker accent a little bit, and then you can maybe coax some of it out towards the middle of the leaf just a bit more softly. And there we have our succulent. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you do it again, on your own without listening to me, it can be quite a meditative practice. It can be quite relaxing, working each petals one at a time. So thanks for watching, and again, if you want to become a patron, you get all the Watercolour Whizz packs, and you get an awful lot of full-length video tutorials with all the support packs that you need to get going with watercolour. If you really like this video, please would you give it a thumbs up, and also, if you are not subscribed, can you click the subscribe button, and then you'll see a little grey bell appear. Click the grey bell as well, because if you don't click the grey bell, you won't get notifications when I put another one of these videos up. And also, if you could mention Watercolour Whizz in any comment you leave, that would do my channel a world of good. So again, thanks very much for watching, and I hope this helps you enjoy your painting more. Bye for now.